Test, 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 test. Are we live? Hello, this is What's Up Dave, my daily stream where I catch up with my friends on the internet and let them know what I'm up to. As exciting as that sounds, it probably isn't that exciting. So, to start, this is Wednesday, October 25th, 6:24 p.m. here in darkest New Hampshire. It's already getting dark. This is depressing. But anyway, first a couple of things. Let's look at some stuff I got. I got this new cushion, which is one of those purple cushions. Like, I've been seeing these advertised on Facebook, and I thought I would give one a try because the mechanical design of it is interesting. Like, I have this chair over here. Let me get the other camera moving on it. So this chair over here is a Leap version 1 chair that got used from Madison Seating, which is a somewhat sketchy used seating place that some people love, but a lot of people just I guess they refurb a lot of the parts. So this one I got was like really cheap. It's normally these chairs new are like $1,000. I got this one for like $330 with free shipping from Wisconsin or wherever those guys are based. In that respect, it's a pretty good deal. It's well built. However, I can't find a replacement for the gas cylinder because they stopped making the version 1 chairs like a long time ago. And so it's a little bit low. And I suspect that some of these parts are replacement parts, not actual genuine steel case parts. So I'm thinking about selling this and then getting a real one at some point now that I've confirmed that I really like this chair. So to raise it, instead of buying spending $1,000 on a new chair, I figured I could just get one of these cushions and try it out. So it has this kind of, not exactly honeycomb construction, but it has, if you can see this, oops, I just switched the camera by accident. It's this kind of polymer gel it's kind of squishy, and it has like these honeycomb-like things. So it actually gives so pointy things tend to you just go into it, but overall it's pretty supportive. So it's kind of a neat design, and it comes with this case. And this is their Royal one, I think. This is like the thicker one. I got the thinner one, which I think I'll put in the guest room for my dad, because he's not as heavy as I am, but he has often complained very lightly that the chair in there is too hard, so he usually steals a pillow and sits on it. So I think that will be an improvement. So this one, though, I'm finally a little bit higher than I was before. And my butt is comfortable, and since it's got all those holes in it, it doesn't warm up. I had looked previously at getting one of those memory foam ones. There's a whole bunch of them on Amazon, but I think the memory foam ones, they tend to they tend to squish, and they say that this design doesn't squish, so we'll find out. Plus I got to try out this thing and see what it's like. Morning, Vicky. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see. Second thing on the list is the ETP notebook stuff. So let me swing this camera around here and go to Oxcam. So, boink. So here's the ETP notebook. I've been using this instead of single sheets. And this is a nice notebook, and as I had mentioned yesterday, one issue is when I'm transcribing to do items I didn't get done from this page to the page on the other side. It's a pain in the butt because I'm going over here and I'm over here, and then it's not as easy as going from the left to the right. So I cut this piece of acetate. I just went to a craft store and I grabbed one of these things and cut it to exactly the width, 3.25 inches of this left column, so I can just kind of overlay this on top of here. And that seems to work pretty well. I like this. The one issue is maybe it's a little bit too transparent. I mean, it's kind of nice to be able to see through it. If it was tinted, it would be nice. But I was wondering if my printer actually could source this kind of stuff and print on it. So I sent him a bunch of questions, and I popped over there after getting all my work done today, which I'll go over in a minute, the habit building stuff, which went pretty well. So some things. There were a few questions I had. They have a new print on demand press that is pretty capable. I didn't ask them about these getting these printed. That might have been a good idea, but I think fulfillment would be an issue. But one of them is making nicer index cards. So I got this index card, and I've got these are the heavyweight index cards from from Staples or local big box stationery store. And so I don't know if you can hear this. That's what that sounds like. I'm just kind of flicking it with my hand. This is what this one sounds like. Deeper, more resonant, more mass, much nicer to write on. So I was wondering if we could use the print-on-demand press to produce this cardstock, and he had got me some samples. So this is essentially the same stuff as like this index card, which is like a frictionless index card from Aaron Mahnke, before he hit it big with the #2 podcast in America and a TV show. So he doesn't make these anymore. So that means I can't buy them. So so I'm going to produce some nice index cards for myself and maybe kind of work them into this system. So it might be nice to, I don't know, have something that would work with this. I also asked him to look into if we could do new post-it notes for the sticky pads that are full bleed. Right now I have to have a margin of like 0.25 inches on them, which is huge, and it makes like some of the 4x6 really stupid looking. I want to fix that. And then some alternative materials, like he can't print on acetate. He can source it, but he can't print on it. So he gave me this piece of vellum that I'm going to cut down. So it's translucent, so this is nice. He can print on this. So I'm going to cut some strips of this later on and see how that works. This actually might work well. What I'm wondering about, though, is like whether it will indent when I write on it. So if I press really hard, does it show through on the other side? Actually, it doesn't. That's kind of promising. How about if I had a thinner piece of paper, pressed really hard? Yeah, there's some indentation. You can see some markings. It's not too bad, though. And I was pressing pretty hard, so it's not unacceptable. This might be a good solution. Anyway, I could print instructions on this or like lovely sayings. One last thing was looking about adding pocket folders to this. So there's a number of ways we can do it. I thought it would be nice to be able to carry additional stuff in it. We had to widen the notebook, which is something you need to do anyway. But for one-off type stuff, you can make these. He has these things that you can put in there. So I could put a pocket in the front, and then maybe we will put paper in it, that kind of thing. So, but that means making a new variant of this notebook, which won't happen this year until at least I sell those out. But also, lesson learned from doing the big print run of stuff. Like, you can see behind that was all the test print run. I made what I thought was a small print run of 100 units each of 4 different SKUs. They've been selling approximately 1 a month or 2 a month. So I had to take them out of the warehouse at somewhat great expense. So I wouldn't be hit by like all these warehouse overage fees over the holiday season, which would have been like another $1,000. So producing them at this price meant that they were affordable, but I'm not going to. Instead of testing the market with 100 units, which seemed reasonable at the time, I'm going to test them with 10. So with 10 units, we're going to do a custom print on demand, just to test to see if people buy them first. So there'll be low quantities in the warehouse. I might even fulfill these as special prototypes out of the Shopify store, and figure out some way of fulfilling those, or handle some automate the system somehow, so I'm not licking stamps all the time. The big advantage of using Amazon is that if you use Amazon Fulfillment, they handle all the ordering, the returns, the shipping, and also you can use Amazon Prime if you have that, so you get the free 2-day shipping, which is it's a great boon if you're selling things. Of course, everybody does that now. So I had to figure out a way of managing that, and maybe I need to actually bundle in the price for that. So we'll see. We'll see about that. I'm trying to figure out a way of automating it to make this a more viable business opportunity. So that's what's going on with this. So now, let's get to the boring stuff. Which is, well, it's not boring. I think it's pretty interesting. So that was yesterday. If you saw yesterday's stream, I was trying to overcome this issue with just starting work. So if I'm starting work of a personal project nature, specifically redesigning and re-implementing my blogging system. Now, this isn't just installing some blog system like WordPress. This is making one from scratch, from code. So I get something that I want that works the way that I think, which means coming up with a way of proceduralizing and formalizing the way that I think in a way that will be flexible and also expressive. So this is kind of, I have the knowledge now to do it. I didn't 3 years ago, but it's still a daunting enough project, especially since I've never made one of these before. Hey, kitty. It's daunting to just start. And one thing that I find that if I'm faced with too many unknowns, my motivation tends to dissipate. It tends to disappear. Too many unknowns, too many uncertain rewards. That's not a condition that my mind responds to well. I'm not really gung-ho about doing stuff that is uncertain and unknown. I like certainty, it turns out. As like unadventurous as it is, that's just the way I am wired. However, I know there are certain conditions under which I will go find out things. Like if I have the notion that something is possible, oh, damn it, cat. And the cat's switching the scenes with me now. I'm going to move the scene switcher out of his way. Ugh. So I think that'll work. Okay, now you can rub your head against the laptop as much as you want. Look at the cat cam. So anyway, Harry, but yeah. So what I thought was what I needed was to just start more reliably, was to have some sort of startup ritual. And I had said yesterday that I think one of the mental hurdles that I have is if I wake up too late, and since I'm on this weird, like, random biphasic schedule, or polyphasic schedule, which I can't predict when I'm going to wake up, I can't predict when I'm going to go to sleep, I don't know why I'm going through this, but I am. Because of that, I often miss the morning session, and because of that, I'm thinking that I've lost the day. And because I think I've lost the day, that further demotivates me, and it becomes a spiral, and this endless spiral of like not feeling that I have caught the opportune time to start a big project like this, especially if it's a project of my own making, and there is no one who's telling me to do it, and really anyone who's interested in it other than me. Those are difficult conditions for me to work under. So, one thing I did was I reframed it by thinking of it as, it's not losing the day, but the period when I wake up. Whenever I feel that I have some energy to start something up, let's consider that the start of the day, even if it's like right now it's 6 p.m. This is the start of the day for me. I woke up about an hour ago. So, what did I do? Let's go back and review okay, so here's the screen. This is showing my Quiver notebook, and at the top here, this is where I started writing the ritual here. You can see the restarting process ritual. And I refined it quite a bit over yesterday. So the idea is to have like the start here thing, so I know where to go when I'm starting. I'm in starting mode, and I'm going to read this. How do I restart? The preparation. Take a minute to mindfully dismiss other thoughts. So I close my eyes, and I go, all right, I'm hungry. All right, I can wait an hour. I'm this, I'm that. I'm angry about this. I'm irked about this. I'm distracted by this. All those thoughts, to face them and say, take a breath, put them out, and say like, I will get back to you later. It's like a way of, I guess, managing a busy waiting room in my head of all the distractions. I know I can focus for like an hour, but I just need to acknowledge that these other thoughts exist. It's hard I can't just ignore them. I have to say, wait a moment, I'll get back to you. It's like, it's like, I guess, being a parent of like some young kid or something. And then the next goal the next step was to review the GHDR 2017, the distilled version. And what I did is I copied this from the blog post, which was like quite long. I'll bring that up over here on this side. You can see the difference. So that was the most recent one. It's this one. This is the blog I will be replacing. So on this, you can see like there's all these directives, and this was kind of my analysis of it. So I distilled it down to something shorter, which is this page, I guess you can say. Strategic goals. These are things I want to remember. So when I'm starting the work session, I want to make the connection between the project I am thinking of doing with these goals. Previously, I was only really reviewing them once a month, like the day before or the day of the Groundhog Day resolution report. The next one will be at 11/11, November 11th. But by looking at these and keeping these top of mind, I think that will help keep me focused. At least it will add a little bit of purpose, I would say. So some things to remind myself. I'm growing my neat side business. These first four ones are the main ones. Growing the neat side business, cultivating and curating a community that gives and receives, developing a system for mind-blowing productive synergy, commit to and successfully reboot the blog. This is the one I'm working on right now, rebooting the blog. And then below this is the distillation of what my targets for October were. And this is the actual project, the website project, static website system, blah, 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 blah. This was kind of an outline of what things I thought I would need to do. And this last list are tips for being my best self that I thought were useful just to maintain a good sense of well-being as I'm pursuing these difficult projects and dealing with stressors in my life. So one of them, this one, to express what I like with unfiltered pleasure when someone is receptive to listening. I might rewrite that one. I'm allowed to rewrite these. So this one is related to the strategic goal G09, which is express joy in being my odd self with no need to apologize. Likewise, number 2, do be positive even when people don't like what I like. Redirect by seeing if they want to talk about their own preference and listen with interest. 3, don't take things personally even when other people do and are trying to make themselves feel more right. I need to rewrite these. These are a little bit awkward sounding. But in the reflection and the rewriting, I am keeping them top of mind. And I think that's important for having a sense of purpose and resilience and conviction. Let's call it that. So anyway, let's go back to this. So this is sort of a daily mantra. Like, I remember what I'm here for. This is what is important. It's not merely making the website, but there's all these other principles at work that I want to ensure I am engaging every day. And that adds a little bit more conviction to what I'm doing. Then, to segue into the actual doing of work, keeping in mind what I've just read, to pick a project from this document that seems related to a goal in some way. And so there's a bunch of them. If I scroll all the way to the bottom, I have a project backlog. These are the ones that are on my mind, but I can really only do one at a time. And so the current project here is the blog Thoughtomata project, which is the project I was talking about. That has its own separate continuity document, which is this blue link over here, the blog building essay. But anyway, so then after I've picked a project, then this is usually where the resistance kicks in. Okay, I'm going to work on this fancy new website project. What does that mean? What do I do? I mean, it's at the point, since it's new to me, it's uncharted territory. Where do I go? And that's often where I lose track of things. And everything I can think of is like unsure, and so I just need to get through that cloud. And the way I'm finding works for me getting through the cloud is to pick a question to answer. So it may not be like, you don't ask the question, how do I build like a website from scratch, or how do I build a website compiling system from scratch? The questions I chose for myself were, did I write them down here? Yeah, they're down here. Actually, I wrote them down somewhere else. Oh, it's probably in this document. I will look at that later. But a question like, where are my files? Let me find them. If that is related to the project and it's something that I can find with certainty in the next few minutes. And that establishes like a little burst of, okay, I got something done. So now that you have these files, what are these files? Then that might give rise to another question. So I tried to pick some questions that were like that. And if I can find the, let's click on this thing, the blog building essay. Where did they put it here or not? So these are some questions. These are not the ones I wrote down, though. Where did I put those? I think I may have edited them out of this. But even before I got to this part, I think I'm missing a step. Where's the... Oh, right, this is the work section. I need to reorganize this. Okay, the preparation, this actually needs to go here. Try to visualize the question, the project questions. And I'm doing this through free writing. Then the next thing is pick a question to answer and solve in the next 15 minutes. So something like this. So what I mean by free writing is, okay, it's like I'm trying to do something. I have no idea what to do. I find that it's useful to do a stream of consciousness writing. So this section over here, the visualization free writing, I literally closed my eyes and blind typed as I was thinking. And what's on my mind? So, one, what is it I'm doing? Oh yes, the blog. I feel negative reaction. To what? It's just annoyance and childish reaction to having to do anything. Doesn't seem fun, but my adult self knows that it will be rewarding. So shut up, voice. You're being foolish. So then I write, all right, the blog, because I got distracted again. The system, don't think of vegetables, because I was thinking about spinach at that point. The goal was to uncover some small questions and answers to them. The questions are written down somewhere in the reaction essay part. Where is the reaction essay? I think I deleted it. So here I'm just literally talking to myself, trying to get myself in the mindset. This got me to the point where I could actually pick some questions. This was in this next section. What does it say of the blog work? Where is it? So where are the files? So what is the next task? I was like, okay, this is what I was looking for. Let's change those to numbers. These are the questions I thought I could answer in the next 15 minutes or start looking at them. Are there JavaScript libraries that can parse text files? Because this is a need that I need, like using a configuration style format. So I just surfed online and tried to find some stuff and learn about the process. Do I know what the directory structure is going to be and how it maps the HTML output? So I did some thinking about that. Can I further improve the template front matter to represent knowledge? Do I need to write some design documentation for the model itself for clarity? And how to express this in pseudocode? So these were questions, and I found it interesting that once... Oh, here are the questions. I did put them here. And then I rewrote them. These were when I was doing my free writing, free thinking things. The interesting thing is when I was able to form the question, like, are there these things that exist for this? That piqued my curiosity. And suddenly that's a powerful motivating factor for me. And then the next question, is there an optimal source doc arrangement? And so this desire to make a perfect one kind of kicked in. Is the front matter optimal? And then the desire to find optimal patterns, that's peaked. That's another strong compulsion that I have. And do I need to document the model? The thirst for understanding and making good design documents, that's another compulsion that I have. So I found some compulsions and tied them to questions that I could answer in the context of this progress. And then I said, everything else, you put that out of my mind for now. Like, I'll eat the spinach later, or I'll look for shoes online later, or I'll play with other things later. But for now, I just want to answer these questions, and let's see how far I get. So I set aside an hour around 1 a.m. But it turned out, and as I got each of these things knocked out, I went for 8 hours straight. I did maybe take a break to eat something when I got hungry and make some coffee, but overall it was pretty productive. And so let me show you what I did. Can I show you what I did? I figure out how to do this. So I'll switch back to the screen here. And in the Quiver document, let's look at this blog building essay. Let's see if it was a user. I think we're just looking at this. This is the kind of collection of it's like really a scratch pad. I might have to trash this or rewrite it. But the other thing is it's largely documentation. This is the source project. And so I had started writing notes here for directory structure as I was going through it, just because it was convenient. But this was copied and pasted into a GitHub repo. My Thoughtomata GitHub repo, and it's wiki. Ugh, keep hitting the wrong key. There. So this is the homepage for the wiki. The Thoughtomata project itself is it's just skeleton code. This describes what it is. It's intended to be a personal knowledge creation and publication system to replace my current blog. So the homepage of the wiki is kind of a slush pile of my goals. The goals is to have easy authoring in Markdown with extensions for knowledge management. Use text files in structured folders in the file system. Use Git for version control, etc., etc., etc. And so then I started writing down the key concepts. So this is stuff I had done like a while ago, but I did redo this elements of what a thought file is, and I streamlined this considerably. And then so the example thought file is now considerably streamed, but it combines all the concepts I think I need to implement this publishing system. Content subject, content path, content keys, content form. And then each of these, I defined some additional data structures. The two I ended up with keeping out of 5. I distilled them down into something called content types. And these are the intentful purposes for each piece of content, for each piece. So there's a story, which is kind of like a regular blog post. It's a free-form essay or article about something. It's not necessarily a packaged piece of knowledge, but it's interesting. And then getting a little bit more detailed or a little bit more focused, there's an interest, and this is like an informal category. This is a collection of writings about a particular subject as defined by myself. It may be later mapped to a system like Universal Decimal Classification or BISAC. I did some research yesterday on categorization systems. I read a paper about the difference between classification and categorization. Essentially, these are faceted categorization systems. So this would be useful later for tying the piece of knowledge I'm writing to some subject so other people can find it. But it's not necessary, just a start. The intent is to provide a primer, or a map for just getting started. So if I'm learning how to, like your example, apply nail polish, I might have nail polish as my informal interest, and that becomes a, I'll just write down everything I'm learning about it in there. So it's think of it like a little notebook. A project is a collection of writings and supporting material about making something in particular. Like, okay, I'm making a notebook. That's a project that has a specific outcome in mind. And so for each of these, I try to provide an intent. The intent here is to provide detailed information on how the life cycle of the project, I need to rewrite that, so it can be replicated. Then there's an event. It's a collection of writings about primarily something that I've experienced. That's not a project. That's not an interest. That's maybe a story, but this may have things like maps in it, the nature of the event, my own assessment of it. So this is like kind of a catalog of experiences. I guess I could call it an experience, but these names are in flux. An experiment is a collection of writings that's essentially about data collection. So for example, I'm doing this habit building thing. I might be logging my time in it and assessing it. The idea is to have a data set so I can look at it later and and maybe develop some ideas about what to do next. That could lead into a project, for example, or maybe this experiment is tied to an interest. And finally, there's a report, which is a collection of writings that summarize the answer to a query or set of questions. So this is if someone asks me, what is the best way to do this? That's a report. That's not a project, that's not an interest, although they're kind of related. The intent is to produce something that other people can read. So this is the hierarchy of forms that I have right now. What I haven't included are the aggregate types. For example, there might be a sub-project or a derived project. So let's say you start with this project as a starting point, and you want to do another project that's related to it, or maybe you have a new interest that you've detected that some of your existing projects combine with it. So you might have this interest have as its parents these projects, these references, these citations. So the idea is to have these content types be able to reference to each other so I can follow the chain of connection between them and not have to write things multiple times. So instead of saying, like, okay, I went to this project and this event, and this gave me the idea to try this experiment. So I'm going to start a new experiment, and I'm going to link the specific project and event to those things just by referencing them in the front matter at the top of the file, and just start writing. The goal of this is not to create a document that's a data structure for putting into a database, because that's lame. The goal is to make a writing system that produces tagged content, which gets me to this next part, the content tags. And so what I want to be able to do as I'm just writing freeform in my text editor is, like, if I write something that I think might be interesting in its own right as a standalone piece of content or idea, I will tag it with one of these tags here. So, like, maybe there's an interesting concept or a key idea within this interest or experiment. Let me tag that so the processing system can go and extract them later. These also end up being formatting tags. So, like, the concepts might be formatted in a different way, or they might be hidden. And I also, by tagging the content in there, which is not required, the free-form text form would be the default. I can also create collations of all the various things that are found in a particular piece of content. So in a report, I might have some key ideas or some definitions, and then I can, like, summarize them all at the bottom automatically using the processing system. So this becomes, like, this is the way I'm breaking down my knowledge and my thinking process. So there's inquiry, which I've misspelled, questions, hypotheses, or theories. There's evaluation approaches I have. This is my general project management approach. What is the intent, motivation, expectation, and initiator of this project? What are the metrics you're using? What are the benefits you're expecting? Who are the stakeholders? What are the risks? What are the dependencies? Budget usually is one too, but I didn't include that there. Foundational tags. These are things that, like, if you're just getting your head around something new, what are the key concepts, the key ideas here? What are the key definitions? How does this all fit together? Process tags are things like, what's the procedure or recipe for doing something result? This is like, lab work, basically. What are some formulas? What are some machines? What are some gears that make this possible? Social tags, like, these are people who are related to the interest topic experiment that you may want to cite or identify specifically, and so forth and so forth. So an interesting thing here is, like, because these things can be extracted out, they can also maybe be uniquely identified. So there's extensions of these tags, like this navigation tag, for example. If I want to include a pagination thing, there's a second property that I can include that will be some parameter. So, for example, like, I might have this organization, and the processing path it will go through and to convert these plain organizations into serially numbered ones. And so what I can do then is it will automatically generate, as I go, an indexed list of every formula, gear, every tag that I've put in there will be uniquely numbered by the system as I'm writing it, and I'll be able to derive them. That's what I'm thinking I'll be able to do. And so what I'll end up with is those collations I was talking about, collections of key ideas, definitions, tours, and stuff like that can search based on a project context, because the project context is defined by the content that this appears in, and so forth. Maybe it isn't making any sense, but this was quite a bit of thinking work I did yesterday, and I resolved, I think, all the problems. I got the directory structure down. This is the way I think I'm going to do it. This HTML folder is like what the HTML output will look like. This is how the organization of each thought is. The source files themselves will be these .thought files, and with an arbitrary directory structure, because the front matter design of this actually specifies a content path as a unique key. So this is independent of where it is. So you can organize your files in any way you want. The system will generate and put it in this content path, and it will detect collisions and generally, I think, be pretty effective. So this is kind of an emergent knowledge system, and with the tagging serving both as a content tag, content type tag, and also the style hint. I don't have to worry about styling or HTML. I can just dump this into some kind of HTML template. So that's the thinking I've got on this right now. Whether it works, we will see. Technically, I have all the knowledge I need to build this, and now I need to start answering a new set of questions, which I haven't gotten to yet. I guess I should try to answer one question tonight, and see where that goes. But the idea is, like, I'm gonna eat something first because I haven't eaten yet today. If I go back to the starting point here, give this whole ritual a try again. Take a minute to mindfully dismiss the other thoughts. So let me try that now, take a minute. It doesn't have to be a long time. So I'm closing my eyes and observing what's going on in my head. I'm feeling like I need to do something that's fun. I'm hungry. I'm thinking about clothes. I'm wondering if the cat needs some food. So which of those things I might act on just to clear my head, and then so having addressed those, now I'm at the stuck point. It's like, what am I going to do? I know that I want to work on this blog project, but I don't have that specific question yet to choose what it is that I want to do. So the next step would be to look at the distilled tasks, which are here, and just force myself to read them. The shorter I can get this document, the more likely I will be to read it. So this is the summary of last month's GHDR. There was a battle between nihilism and optimism. Building a new website is the key strategic goal. Transforming the way I engage in the world is a key personal goal. And seeking a productivity system that addresses my work-related needs. This is what this is. So I'm on task, in addressing last month's concerns. These are strategic goals, and if I didn't know what I was going to do, I said maybe I can do something with growing the Neat side business. I mean, I did do the ETP stuff today, or in the last waking cycle. Cultivating and curating the community. I'm doing that every day in the co-working chat room. Developing a system for mind-blowing productive synergy. That's kind of what I'm doing with the blog system. I've combined developed the system for mind-blowing productivity synergy. No, actually, I haven't. And committing to successfully rebooting the blog. These are kind of related. This mind-blowing productive synergy is actually related also to the community. But I'm in the ballpark of these. These are things that I need to remind myself of. It's okay to practice mastery and bill for it. You know, not given to cheap clients who don't want to spend money on doing good work. You know, de-emotionalizing my reaction to triggers. That's the stoicism aspect of things that we've been talking about in the co-working chat room. The mindfulness exercise I was just doing with the taking a minute to push things out, that was kind of a stoic thing, I think. And I haven't really read up on it. But the idea of facing those thoughts, addressing them, and then just kind of pushing them out of the way. You know, that's I think that's related to it. It's okay to use resources to avoid boredom and isolation. That means it's okay to spend money on toys within reason. Knowing that 15 minutes of cardio reliably increases energy. I'd forgotten about that. I should maybe go to the gym today and see if that's true. The expressing joy in being my odd self, you know, there's no need to apologize for it. That's an ongoing, like, personal development thing. Have conviction in liking what I like and don't apologize for it. Yeah, so these are good things to remember. And then looking at this static website system, I'm looking at the stages I wrote and trying to react to it. You know, again, this habit system, I should point out once more, is designed to be reactionary. And reactionary, that means I'm reacting to things I'm looking at, not just kind of sitting in a dark room trying to think my way out of what I should be doing next, because that's hard. It's much easier to react to something. So I did some hard work to create this document just so I could read things in it and react to it. So that's why I'm rereading it. It's not rereading it to remember or to pay it its respects. I'm reading it so it gives me ideas. So static website system, no design markdown. Okay. So now I'm forcing myself to think of what that means. Archive static system. The no design tag, that is not making it really fancy looking. That's making it just purely text. And I can always fanciful eyes it later. And so this content creation workflow, this is what I'm actually working on. Metadata processing and source documents to build collections. I just went over that stuff. Auto-generating collection pages, auto-generating project pages. So actually this is what I seem to be working on. Let me reread this. Unfilter, do positive, don't think things personally, do affirm myself I like what I like, do signal with confidence that who I am through physical props and expression, don't listen to negative feedback to my expression of what I like, don't compare my likes dislikes with other people as a means of judgment, do curiously seek to understand other people's hierarchy of values, do feel threatened just because someone doesn't agree, do spread my attitude about people coming together through sharing what we like and also what we think, do be a person who tries to create a safe space where people can be who they are. Tips for being my best self. And this, I think, is actually really important for me to read. I didn't even think that I wanted to read this when I started. But this reminds me why I'm doing it. I mean, the reason why I want to do all these things is because, like, I really want to feel good about myself and the people that I'm around and with, and be a catalyst for, to create a safe space and to people feel safe to express themselves. This is like I'm working on the system to express myself, basically, this blogging system. And that's not because I just want an awesome blogging system. It's part of my value system. And as an IFMP/INTJ warrior, the INFP GUI part of me, just wants to feel good all the time, and wants kittens to be happy, and wants people to be happy, and wants people to be able to do what they do. And that gives me the sense of mission that I often forget when I get lost in the weeds of the details of how do I make a blog system that reads these files and writes them to web pages. So that was good. So that actually worked better than I thought it would. We'll see how well the system works in a week. Like usually I give these new systems about 2 weeks to go before I determine if they're working or not. So far, though, at least the first day, it worked better than I thought it did. Usually the first day, like, I'm excited about trying a system, and that kind of colors the output. Because I'm excited about trying something new, I'm more excited about doing something. Yesterday, I was not excited about working out on this at all. But having seen the results of it, now I'm excited to see if there's a second data point that follows. And to also continually to refine, this getting started thing. Is this adequate? Can this be streamlined more? If this fails, what way can I adapt it? What are some of the essential truths that I hold dear to me that I can use to motivate myself into continuing to follow through with things? Like going to the gym is something that I've kind of dropped doing, but also. How do I get over that kind of hurdle? The way I've been doing it is just by saying, I'll just go for 15 minutes and combine it with a grocery store run. The grocery store is still open, so I could still do that. But I can't buy anything to eat there because I'm on a diet. I actually was just there a few hours ago, too. I could combine the gym run with a trip just to go look at something, go to a store and just browse at stuff. It's fun to look. I've been going to clothing stores recently and just going through all the clothes, like male or female, and just kind of looking at the designs, the fabrics, and to see what feelings they evoke, to see what ideas they give me. It's kind of nice. It's a nice way to not spend any money. Although I did buy something. I forgot about this. I have to show this off tomorrow too. Crap. Let's see, I got these mittens, and where did that thing go? Oh, yes. So I went to Burlington Code Factory, not intending to buy anything, but just look at stuff. Because it's been a while since I've been to it. It's like a reseller thing. But I got this shawl. It's purple. And you can wrap it around you like this. So when it gets cold, I can be warm. And it's purple, and it feels nice. And then I got these mesmerized me. These are fingerless gloves, and I actually needed gloves. Let's see if I get this right. They maybe are a little bit too small, but they are stretchy. So, and this is this mitten pocket on it. Let me see if I can get this thing off. This might be a problem. So that you can actually, this is maybe too small, but you can actually like turn them into mittens. And this really makes me happy for some reason. You know, like one of the things that I am trying to express more of is just my joy in like things that are, you know, kind of like silly and, you know, well, maybe not particularly manly, but, you know, who cares? I like it. Let's see how far I can push this. So anyway, this is I love this shawl. So it's weird shape. So anyway, that's the What's Up Day for today. This went a little bit longer than I thought it would. It's how long did I go? But I'm going to, it's 46 minutes. I'm going to see if I can get these shorter. But that's the state of what's going on with me. It's a productive day. I have a new shawl. I'm being more comfortable and daring to express myself. You know, kind of coming to grips with like the realizations I've had this year about like my gender identity and like, you know, where the boundaries are. They're kind of shifting right now. So just learning to deal with all that sort of stuff and be productive and maintain a positive attitude and become a beacon of the kind of energy that I want to be. Those are all part of the mission this year. And also just getting stuff done so we can, hey, nope, stop. The cat is changing things again. Ugh. So, do you see your shadow? You groundhog? Well, okay. Oh, you're stuck to me. So that's the What's Up Day for today. I'll see what I get done today. Tomorrow I should have a new toy to look at. I should stop buying these toys, but they are fun to look at. And like they're actually important milestones in this expression experiment. So with that, I bid you a good night. I am going to figure out what to do next. Probably have some free-form doing of stuff because I'm still kind of tired. But see if I can do the startup ritual again and see if I can get a useful result and report on that tomorrow. So have a good night, and I'll see you soon. Now we wait for 30 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,